Hey everybody, welcome to the premiere of Pursue the Brew. We're enjoying talking about and learning more about beer and the great people that make it. I'm Adam Pulley. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to get into this. Today's video, we're going to jump into just kind of who I am, why I wanted to do this, and then also we're going to review my top 3 beers. These are the beers that I always have in my fridge. They're my go-to. They're there all year long. Great balance. Nothing crazy yet. We're just going to get into the things that I always have around. So we're going to kick things off at number 3. This is a Missouri beer. As we go along, I'll kind of get more into the channel and who I am and why I'm doing this, but I need a beer to do it, so here we go. So at number 3, always in my fridge, is Four Hands Citywide. This is a great beer out of St. Louis. Four Hands, they just have a great selection. If you're ever at their brewery, their tap room is fantastic. They've always got a good selection of stuff going on for the seasons. 5.5% alcohol by volume. American Pale Ale. This thing is just a fantastic beer. It's smooth. It goes great anytime, whether you're tailgating or barbecuing, it's Christmas, whatever, any season of the year. This is a great beer to have on tap. Alright, so there you go, Four Hands Citywide. Great beer, just love the color on that. That is just the color a beer should be. Not overly carbonated, but just great flavor. I love that. The American Pale Ale, just not going to kick you in the face with the hops like an IPA would, but still just really smooth flavor. You get that little bit of citrus. I just love this beer. This is just a smooth beer. There's nothing overly complex about it, so you can enjoy a few of them. Watching TV or just hanging out with friends, whatever it is, great beer, have it in your fridge. So, who am I? I'm Adam Pulley, like I said earlier. I live in Jefferson City, Missouri. So one of the things that's happened in Missouri over the last 10, 15 years-ish is craft beer is blown up all over the place. There are some great just hot spots for craft beer like Austin, Texas or Boulder, Colorado. But here in Missouri, I gotta say, it is everywhere. Like every city, just small towns have craft breweries at this point. It all kind of started in Springfield, I think. There's just really great craft brewing there, but in Kansas City, St. Louis, Columbia, here in Jeff City, we've got one of my favorites, Last Flight. I'll throw them out there if you haven't been there yet, but there's just a lot of craft beer here, and I love craft beer. I just love the different things people are doing. I never would have thought we'd have sour beers, but I just love talking about it. I love getting into it. I love finding new beers that I'm just always going to stand by like this. So that's why I wanted to talk about this. So I'll keep going with this in a second, but before I do, cheers to Four Hands and the Citywide. Now we're going to move on to beer number 2. Alright, beer number 2 on my list. This is probably number 1. If you had everybody in the world that drinks beer make a beer list of their top 3 that they always keep around or that they love, whatever, this beer is probably going to be on that list, and a lot of places in the world, especially in Ireland, England, it'll probably go number 1. I've got it at number 2, so there's your first hot take on the channel, but I'm talking about Guinness. I mean, obviously Guinness is better straight out of the tap at your local Irish pub where they pour it correctly and they've got the balance right and everything, but I love that over the last few years, Guinness has gone to this nitro can, allows you to have it at home, and it's not the same. I'd never say it's the same, but it's really good, and I always keep it on tap. I've got my Guinness glass. I make sure that it's in the right glass and all that. So let's take a look at Guinness and see why it's one of my favorites. So you just have the classic look of the can, the harp, the colors. This just screams great beer. You can't go wrong with this. $17.59. Anything that's been around that long, it's gonna be good. I mean, it's just a classic. Obviously, they want you pouring that into a glass, so we try to do that. Here we go, glass at a 45-degree angle. We're just gonna pour this nice and slow. I almost spilt it, but that's all right. So you just see just that creaminess of a Guinness. There's just nothing like it. There are a lot of great stouts out there, but there's nothing like a Guinness. I'm trying to do this from behind the camera. Don't judge my pouring skills too bad. There we go, just creamy coming off the top there. Sorry, got out of frame. So there you have it. Just look at that. Obviously, like I said, nothing's draft, but you get these nice colors. Just kind of see it cascading down the classic Guinness head there. That's what I'm talking about. That is what beer is supposed to look like, folks, and taste like. Obviously, there's a lot I love about this beer. It is just, even when I was in college, when I didn't have an appreciation for beer, this just stood out. And so if you're, you drink your just normal Bud Light, your Michelob Ultra, like those type of things, you just kind of want to move into a more flavorful, high-profile beer. This is a great place to start if you've never done it. Guinness is smooth, it's light, it's a great beer. So go out, if you've never had a Guinness, please, just my first favor to ask, before you even subscribe, this is more important than following me. Go try a Guinness. They're really good. So what can you expect on the channel? Obviously, we're going to talk about beer. I'm going to get better at talking about it and drinking it at the same time. First off, we're going to review beers. We're going to bring beers here to my home bar, as you can see. We're going to go out to breweries. We'll review the brewery itself, as well as just some of the beers, the basics. I'm going to bring some friends on, and they're going to help me review beers. We're going to do all types of beer, too. This isn't all craft beer. It's probably where the focus is going to be. But we're also going to look at just like, what's the best healthy beer? That's a video I'm going to do in a few weeks. Another thing we're going to do is I want to go meet some of these brewers. Like I said, Missouri is a hot spot. There are brewers all over the place. Not only the ones that are actually in business, there are a ton of home brewers. That's really where I learned about beer. My dad brewed beer from the time I was little. I've been around it. I love walking into a house where beer is being brewed and you smell the hops and it just takes up the whole house. Love that. So I'm going to talk to some home brewers, including my dad and my brother, talk about what they're making, what got them into it, the things they like, and try to learn a lot about beer. I'm going to do the research. You guys just get to come along for the ride, and hopefully you guys can send me some beers that you think I need to try. Before we wrap up the video, obviously we got to get to beer number 1, and it is another Missouri beer. This time from the other side of the state in Kansas City. We're going to go Boulevard, which is not small craft brewery. It is a little bit on the bigger side, but they have gotten a lot more adventurous. They've come up with some great beers that are seasonal. This one actually turned into an all-the-time beer, Space Camper. Space Camper came out a few years ago from Boulevard. I don't know if it was always meant to be a year-round beer. I honestly thought when I saw it was a little gimmicky. I believe it came out about the same time as the MCU movie, Captain Marvel. So they've got this kind of like space woman on it, and I thought that was kind of, we're just riding the back of Captain Marvel and its popularity, and I was a little skeptical. I also was just at the very beginning of getting into IPAs, and so they weren't my favorite thing. I thought it was gimmicky. I did not have high hopes, but let me tell you, this beer is now always in my fridge. I have a stockpile of it. I keep it cold. I keep it there because it is just a go-to beer. So here we go. We're going to get into this. That's just smooth. It's still only 50 IBUs, so it is not by any means going to kick you in the face with the hoppiness like a double IPA or even some of the hazies or especially a triple. You can taste the hops. It's a nice hoppy flavor, but it's just the citrusy hop. All three of these beers, if you're just getting into this, you're learning about it, these are all great beers to try because none of them are overly complicated or difficult to kind of find the flavors in. They're all really smooth, really easy drinking, and they'll just help you get into these beers. But there you go, that's the number 1 beer. Hit me in the comments. Tell me if you agree or disagree. I'm sure a lot of people can't believe I would put that above Guinness, but it's just my own personal preference on what I'm always going to have in the fridge. If I got $10 or $15 in my pocket, I got to pick one 6-pack, 4-pack, whatever they are, it's going to be the Space Camper. So there you go. Why am I starting this channel? Like I said, where I'm at is a great place to see beer, learn about beer, and talk about beer. And this has just been a passion project that I've been building towards for a while. There were a lot of things I could have talked about. There are things that I love to talk about. I love debating things, including TV, politics, sports. I'm a Packers fan, you might see in the background. Not easy to talk about at the moment, but there it is. The truth is, all those things, everything I just mentioned, is better when you got that liquid gold in you, that sweet elixir. It's all great with beer. So some of those things are probably going to come up. We got an MCU mention here. I love beer. I love where beer, just as a topic, is going. It's a scientific art, which I love. And so I'm excited to talk about it. So thank you for watching. I hope this hasn't been overly convoluted or that it's not boring, especially. But hit me up, subscribe, hit that like button, get in the comments, let me know what you think. And we'll see you next week on a new episode of Pursue the Brew.